You know, when you think of the Tata Group, you think of this revered, iconic institution. For decades, led by Ratan Tata, it was all about putting values first. But lately, it feels like something's off. Cracks are starting to show. People are getting nervous. The government's getting involved. And there's this quiet, intense battle raging at the very top. So the big question we've got to ask is this colossal 45 lakh crore rupee empire, a true symbol of Indian industry, actually in danger? Let's dig in and see what's really going on.
All right, so here's the game plan for this explainer. We're going to peel back all the layers of this crisis. We'll start with how the company's values seem to be changing. Then we'll look at the unique structure of the empire itself. After that, we'll get into the internal power struggles and the crazy pressure from the outside. We'll see how it's all pushing Tata towards a profit over people mindset, and finally, what it all means for the future.
Okay, first up, let's talk about the most obvious change, something you can really see and feel. It's a shift in the very soul of the company, a move away from that ethos Ratan Tata was known for.
Okay, look at this. This really tells the whole story. Remember the 2008 Taj hotel attack? Afterwards, Tata gave 1 crore rupees to the family of every single staff member who died. Not just that, they offered lifetime jobs for family, free education for their kids, and free medical care for anyone injured. Now fast forward to a recent Air India incident. The compensation? Also 1 crore. But wait, if you adjust that 2008 money for inflation, it should be closer to 2.85 crore today. And here's the real kicker. This time, the money came with a legal clause. Basically, take the money, but you can't sue us. That's a huge shift from unconditional support to a calculated risk management approach.
So you gotta wonder, right? What's driving this massive change? Well, to get it, we need to dive into how the Tata Empire is actually built. It's kind of brilliant, but also really complex. And now, it's the source of all the conflict.
Think of it like a 4-level pyramid. At the very bottom, you have the operating companies, over 400 of them. These are the ones you know, TCS, Tata Motors, Air India. They're the guys on the ground, actually bringing in the cash. 1 level up, you have Tata Sons. This is the holding company. It doesn't run the day-to-day stuff. It oversees everything, collects all the profits, and decides the big picture strategy. Then, you have the shareholders, the people who actually own Tata Sons. And right at the tippy top, you have the trustees. They're the ultimate authority, the guardians of the entire group's mission.
And this is the secret sauce. This is what made Tata, well, Tata. Who actually owns the whole thing? A lot of people think it's Ratan Tata, but nope, he held less than 1%. The vast majority, almost 66%, is owned by the Tata Trusts. This is so important. It means most of the profits don't go into some billionaire's pocket. They get funneled into charities for education, health, and fighting poverty. The whole system was designed to be a philanthropy machine first and a business second. Okay, so now that you get the blueprint, let's look at where the cracks are starting to show. And they're happening right at the very top of that pyramid. A massive battle for control inside the trusts. So Ratan Tata steps back, and his brother takes over as chairman of the trusts. And right away, there's a new vibe. Profit, profit, profit. Then things get messy. There was a rule about trustees over 75, and it was used to push out a member. Suddenly, the remaining 6 trustees are split right down the middle. You've got one faction of 2, including the chairman, and another faction of 4. Now, both sides are trying to get their own people into powerful positions, and it's created total gridlock at the very heart of the empire.
And the drama doesn't end there. We've got another major player in a really tough spot, the Shapoorji Pallonji Group, or SP Group. They're the second biggest shareholder, and they are in a world of trouble.
Get this. On paper, their slice of the Tata pie is worth a mind-boggling 5,40,000 crore rupees. An absolutely insane amount of money. But there's a huge catch.
At the same time, the SP Group is drowning in about 60,000 crore of debt. So they have this massive asset, but they are absolutely desperate for cash.
And here's the problem. They're sitting on a mountain of gold, but they can't spend a single rupee of it. Why? Because the original rules of Tata Sons were specifically written to stop this from happening, to prevent outsiders with a profit-only mindset from taking over. So the very principle that was designed to protect the Tata legacy has trapped its second-largest shareholder in a financial nightmare. They can't sell their shares, and they've even been blocked from taking out loans against them. So you've got this messy internal fight. And, you guessed it, now powerful people on the outside are starting to pay very close attention. We're talking about the government and financial regulators. And when I say powerful, I mean the Indian government. The finance minister and home minister recently called for an emergency meeting, Why? Because with over 1 million employees, Tata isn't just a company. Its valuation is bigger than the entire GDP of some countries. Any big instability there could literally shake the whole Indian economy. All right, then you've got the Reserve Bank of India throwing a wrench in the works. 3 years ago, the RBI labeled Tata Sons a critically important financial institution and ordered them to go public with an IPO within 3 years. Ratan Tata himself stepped in, paid off a massive loan to reduce their financial footprint, and tried to get the order reversed. But that deadline passed last September, and the RBI, they still haven't made a decision. So right now, Tata is just stuck. They're in this weird holding pattern with this massive IPO threat just hanging over their heads, a move that would change the company forever.
So let's recap. You've got fighting at the top, a major shareholder in a bind, and the government breathing down your neck. What happens? The whole game plan changes. The new playbook seems to be all about profit, even if it means sacrificing its own people and its reputation.
Take TCS, for example. For years, they were famous for job security. But last year, they laid off almost 2,000 people in one quarter, and over 1,000 in the next. But the really shocking part is how they apparently did it. There are reports that employees were pressured to resign. They were told if they didn't, they'd be fired, which could make it harder to find work elsewhere. That's just not the Tata way.
You can see the shift in customer service too. Look at Tata Motors. The cars are getting better, but the service after you buy one, it's become a huge problem. You can see it for yourself. Just hop on YouTube and search for Tata Motors service scam. You'll find tons of videos from angry customers who say they were charged for repairs that never even happened. That legendary Tata trust is taking a serious hit.
And oh boy, then there's Air India. Probably the single biggest money pit in the whole empire. The pressure from the trusts to make this airline profitable is absolutely immense.
So why is it bleeding so much cash? Well, this table breaks it down perfectly. The airline business is all about efficiency. Look at Indigo. They have about 450 planes, and each one flies about 5 times a day. Air India has around 300 planes, and each one only flies 4 times a day. Now, that one extra trip might not sound like a lot, but scale it up. It means every single Indigo plane makes 30 more flights a month. That is a massive, massive difference in revenue.
And it's not just Air India. The new leadership at the trust is coming down hard on all the companies that are in the red. Chroma, their electronics store, is losing up to 1,000 crore a year. Big Basket, also losing up to 1,000 crore. And their big digital apps, Tata Neo and Tata Play, they've spent a fortune on them, and they're just not taking off. All that money has to come from somewhere, and it looks like the patience has finally run out.
So when you put it all together, what do you get? You get an empire at a massive crossroads, facing a really fundamental choice about who it is and what it's going to become. Which leaves us with the ultimate question: what happens now? Is this brutal, painful shift towards profit just what Tata needs to survive in the 21st century? Or is it losing the very soul that made it great in the first place? That's the real battle: values versus valuation. And the future of this legendary empire really hangs in the balance.